All right, we're back to see who will play Sinner in the final tomorrow. Zverev and Musetti, which also could be we might get a rematch in a couple of weeks if they both qualify. Well, if Musetti qualifies for the ATP finals. By the way, Fonseca is one game away from the final of Basel. Let's go. Hope Zverev can win against a top player like Musetti. 2025 hasn't been great for him. Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea to get a couple of wins here and gain a lot of confidence to go to the ATP finals with. But Zverev's ranking, I feel like this year it's been held up by Paris and also the Australian Open final. Other than that, it doesn't feel like Zverev's got many points outside of that. Like he might have made some quarterfinals and stuff, but it feels like Zverev's ranking is really being top 5 because of those two events, and one of them's coming up in a week, or coming up in a couple of days. So his best points, if I have a look, 1,000 points in Paris, 1,300 points in Australia, and then 500 points in Munich. So, yeah, a third of his ranking is based off 2 tournaments. So 30% of his points. And that's not ideal. So if he doesn't do well in Paris and Australia, by the time we get to February, he could be down at like number 7 or 8. He could drop if he doesn't do well at the ATP finals as well. So he's really got to finish strong here because he's got a lot of points on the line. Yeah, Munich 500 points is okay, but it's but it won't matter if he loses early in Australia and early in Paris. He's got a poor record against top 10 players this year as well. Yeah. Yep. His record his season hasn't been as good as other seasons, especially compared to last year, because last year his season was phenomenal. It was strange to think he could have taken number 1 this year, Zverev. Yeah, February, March there was an opportunity, but nobody took it. Because even Alcaraz struggled, Are they playing Frozen? Like a remix of Frozen? The cold doesn't bother me either. I wanted to stock up on food tonight, but the shop's closed. Oh, that sucks. Are we predicting Musetti? No, I'm going Zverev. It's a rather interesting song choice. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Like a dance version of Frozen. Let It Go remix. 3-1 head-to-head to Musetti. Yeah. I'm going to go Zverev, though. You always break out the hoodie? Yeah, because it's cold. But I like wearing a hoodie, so... Musetti beat him last year at this event. There you go. I'm wearing a hoodie. Hoodies rock. Yeah, hoodies are great. What a great invention. Yeah, Zverev might be injured. He has had issues, hasn't he? But Musetti's also been injured at times, so it'll be who's going to last. Who's going to last? Because both guys have had issues. Players about to come out on court. We can progress through this second semi-final. God, I hope this doesn't go for 3 hours. Chat, I'll tell you this. Clip this if it happens. But I really hope this doesn't go for 3 hours and both of them hit 40 errors or 50 errors each and it's a slop messy match. God, I don't mind if it's a slow match, but I just don't want it to be an ugly match. Like, if it's just a battle of whoever hits less errors, it's going to be so hard to watch. At least the last match, Sinner played really well, so it was, But, like, I don't want to see, like, the player with the least amount of errors wins. Like, that's annoying. I don't want to watch that. If it's a long match, I'll take it, but as long as it's a good quality match with more winners than errors. But, God, I hope it's not error-filled. That'd be ugly. Hey, Galaxy, thank you for the 43 months. I actually hope this match is quick to whoever wins. I feel like we haven't watched these guys for a while. Where's that guy that says we never watched Draper? We never watched Zverev. That's a fact. Not for any reason, just because. Actually, the reason is because his matches are usually take a long time, so I choose to watch other matches instead. And he usually wins matches in a long time. He wins like 6-2, 6-2, 6-2 in 4 hours. So that's why we don't always watch Zverev. We watched him at the Laver Cup. We obviously watched him last week against Fritz in the Six King Slam. I don't think we've watched Musetti in a minute, though. We probably haven't watched Musetti since the Clay. US Open quarterfinal, we watched him, and then we didn't watch him in between the French Open and the US Open. We didn't watch Musetti once. Not because we don't like Musetti. It's because there's just so many other players playing, It's just, there's too many players, plus WTA. So, yeah, we don't get to usually watch these guys play in general, so. But here we are. They're playing Harry Potter music? No, they're not. I'll never forget that epic when Zverev stunned Alcaraz at the Australian Open. Yeah, last year that was awesome. I watched Medvedev Zverev before. It's long, yeah. Yeah, there's some matches that I'm just like, at this time of year, I just don't have the patience for. I do like a good Zverev-Medvedev match when it's a semi-final or a final, though. Yeah, when it's a semi-final final, but when it's like a third round, I'd rather watch Sinner or Alcaraz. Draper is injured much of the calendar. He has, yes. All right, they're warming up, and we will begin. I think Zverev got a little bit lucky not having to play Greek Sport yesterday. I think Greek Sport. We all know that the Greek Sport Zverev rivalry is pretty close, or at least pretty. They never play boring matches. It's always long, drawn out matches. So I think he got a little bit lucky yesterday, and I think Musetti got a little lucky that Mute is probably a little bit tired at this point because he's played a lot of tennis lately. But Zverev was lucky to win his first round. He got to a tiebreak third set, so maybe it's kind of evened out. Straight sets for Musetti all the way through, and Musetti also got lucky because he was supposed to play Tsitsipas first round, but Steph withdrew. So he avoided Tsitsipas. Maybe playing Tsitsipas right now wouldn't have been a bad thing, but he still had a very tough first round opponent until he didn't. So I think both of these guys have dodged some bullets to get here. Musetti hasn't dropped a set yet. All right. Zverev can be impressive. He totally can. I'll tell you, these guys, one of these guys is going to have to do a hell of a job to convince me they can beat Sinner, though. Or even to convince me they can push Sinner. Because if these, and I know Zverev's got a good record over Sinner, but most of those were back in the day. So one of these guys has to play exceptionally well for me to think that they can push Sinner as well. Because right now, yeah, neither of them can beat Sinner. I don't think so. But if one of them puts on a ridiculous performance here, then maybe you can give them a shot. Maybe we can. Maybe they have to play bloody well, but we'll see. I think out of the two guys, though, Zverev is more likely to push Sinner just because of the serving being a bit more of a weapon than Musetti's serve, but Zverev has to play a hell of a match here to convince me in that. If that's going to happen. All right. Fonseca is 3 points away. Does Sinner have a chance to be number one from here? I have no idea. Probably, but it's a very long shot. He'll need Alcaraz to play terrible, I think. Are we going to be able to see the match, or is it just only him talking? I'm right here. I can see you. Why you... Hello? I'm right here. Guys, I'm over here. Hey, guys, I can hear you. I'm right over here. I can hear you. You don't need to talk amongst yourselves. I'm right here. Hello? Hello? I can hear what you're saying. Or is it just him talking? It's just him talking. Because it's illegal to show the match. All right. I have no idea who's serving. But I can tell you this. It's going to be Musetti and Zverev playing each other. All right. My best Pokemon is red, was Gyarados. I take a Magikarp from 1 and use the red to switches to level. Then I put a Hydro Pump, Firefox, Blast, Hyper Beam, and Surf and take to level 100. So you cheat. Okay. So you cheat. Yeah, this match is on Tennis TV, by the way. If you want to watch it. Tennis TV. Musetti hit twice as many backhand winners as Zverev when they played it last year. Really? Okay. All right, Musetti's going to serve. Here we go. Let's just all hope this is going to be a top 10 quality clash. That's all we want. That's all I ask for. I don't ask for much, chat. I'm not asking for much. I just want a good quality match. Is that too much to ask? Can I please just have a good quality top 10 clash? Is that too much to ask, chat? Please! Please! Alright, Musetti serves the fault. Second serve. Second serve. As a return from Zverev goes back into Musetti. Zverev forehand to the front of Musetti. Into the back of Zverev. A slice Musetti. Into the back of Zverev. Again to the back of Musetti. Zverev forehand. Is into the back of Musetti. Zverev backhand. Goes to the Musetti forehand. Zverev now with the forehand down the line. Musetti gets there with the backhand again. The forehand of Zverev. Into the slice of Musetti. Musetti in the net. That's going to be a theme. We're going to have a long rallies. Love 15. Love 15. By the way, who's this guy writing essays? Are you right? Are you good, buddy? Dude came in here with an axe to grind. Are you all right? We're not watching Medvedev. Love 15. Bro came in here with a list of things he wants to talk about. I want to talk about the Saudi thing. I want to talk about the Medvedev's antics. I want to talk about... Bro, we're talking about Zverev versus Musetti. So, yeah. As that goes out by Zverev, 15-0. 15-0. As we get a fault second serve. Fonseca won! Fucking yes! 15-0. He is him. He is him. Backhand rally. God, that's put me in a good mood. As that goes out by Zverev, 30-15. Yes! Come on. We have to watch Fonseca tomorrow. We have to watch him tomorrow now. Hopefully they don't put the finals on at the same time, but they will. But they will. They will put them on at the same time. But it doesn't matter. We'll just focus on Fonseca. Doesn't matter. Is it Fonseca or Humbert? I thought Humbert hasn't played yet. Did Humbert get a... Did Fokina not play? 30-15. As Zverev returns the forehand of Musetti. Musetti, it's out. 30-0. 30-0. Oh, you're just guessing it's Humbert. Okay. Oh, you want to see Humbert. Yeah, Humbert versus Musetti would be... versus Fonseca would be great. Probably better for Fonseca because there'll be less pressure. Because Humbert will be the favourite. 30-0. Fault second serve. I don't know, though. I feel like Fokina's got like a bit of a chip on his shoulder after not being picked for the Davis Cup. He might come out here and want to prove something. You know what I mean? Like, he's at a career-high ranking. Fokina might come out here and beat Humbert just because he's pissed off. And he might try and win this title as a big, like, fuck you to the Spanish, selectors. He might be like, I just won my first title. You going to pick me now? You going to pick me now? No, I'm going to the Bahamas. You can get stuffed. I'll see you next year. 40-30. He might just have might just try and prove everybody wrong. It's a scary man. Anyways, good serving from Musetti. 1 love. 1-0. All right. If Fokina wins the title, he'll be elated. He won't care. Oh, yeah. Stats for Fonseca was 40 winners and 18 unforced errors, 27 forehand winners. Where are the doubters now? Where are those doubters? Overrated my ass. Overrated. Anyone who calls Fonseca overrated, you are jealous of something. That's insane. 15 love. Yeah, Ming. Now you get to watch Fonseca in the flesh tomorrow. That's going to be exciting. All right, 15 love. As the return goes out by Musetti, 30 love. Love. Serves an ace, 40 love. Munar hit 32 winners, 22 errors. That's a good match. That's a good quality match then. Ming's on fire. 40 love. You got to sing the YMCA if they play in the stands then tomorrow. You got to stand up and do it. Anyways, 1-0. Zverev holds. All right. 1-0. As Musetti comes in, puts it away. 15 love. $15 love. As with a 4 now from Musetti down the lines, a winner, 30 love. $30 love. As we had a let from Musetti. Musetti serves a fault. Second serve. Fonseca could be seated at the AO. Fonseca could go back to back at the next gen finals as well, which I don't think's ever been done. 40 love. If he plays, I'm guessing he plays though. 40 love. The return goes to 400 Musetti, 400 from Zverev. In the net, 2-1 Musetti. Musetti. All right. All right. 2-1 Musetti. Fontaine Straight says, let's go. I know, right? How exciting. Fonseca played well today against a good Munar defense. Oh, yeah. Munar's been great all week. All right. Right. Fonseca aura is a little bit like the great Roger Federer. I wouldn't say that too loud. But yes, I like the comparison. All right. 2-1 Musetti. The main thing is Fonseca has to get a more consistent, add more tools to his game. Why? No, he doesn't. He doesn't have enough to yet compete at the top 15, 20. What are you talking about? Why are you doing this? He's into the first. He's the first Brazilian into an ATP 500, and you're like, yeah, but he could be better. Bro, please let us enjoy the moment. He's into the final of a 500. If he loses, then bring up all these points, right? If he loses tomorrow, then talk about all this stuff. Don't talk about it. Him get like, what do you mean? He makes the final of a big tournament. You're like, yeah, but he's not as. He could be better though. Who cares? He's in the final. We don't give a shit what his flaws are. He's in the final, despite whatever flaws you think he has. Doesn't matter. Don't criticize him because he won. You got constructive criticism on the loss if he loses, but come on now. He's into the final. You don't need to be like, oh, but he needs to improve things. No, he doesn't. He just needs to win tomorrow. Love 30. Yeah, I'll defend Fonseca to the death. He's our guy. As a backhand return from Musetti goes in the forehand of Fonseca. Now you got me saying Fonseca instead of Zverev. As Musetti hits a passing shot wide, it's 15-30. Yeah, he's out. Yeah, we're the Fonseca fan club over here. He's playing incredibly well. His game needs to be built out of some before he can contend at slams. Pardon me. No. Why are you not letting us enjoy it? Musetti hits it out 30-all. Why? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? We're all like jazzed up on Fonseca in the final, and you're like, man, but he could be. He's not as good as everyone thinks he could. He's got some flaws, and let's all just get. No, we're getting crazy. We're losing our minds. Let us get crazy. Keep your criticisms until tomorrow, or or next week. Yeah, rain on the parade. What the hell? 40-30. We're out here enjoying the moment. You're just like, nah, but you probably should hold your horses, everybody. No, we're throwing a parade. And if he wins tomorrow, I'll do a backflip. All right. 40-30. Zverev holds 2-0. All right, 2-all. All right, 2-0. Musetti with an ace, 15-love. Fokina is 9-0 against lefties this year. Holy shit. That's crazy. Ah, 15-love. Backhand rally. As Musetti slice. Zverev with a forehand. Goes long. 30-love. $30-love. First serve is a fault, second serve. As the backhand return goes to backhand Musetti. Backhand now from Zverev. As the Musetti backhand to the forehand of Zverev. Into the forehand of Musetti. Zverev forehand again to the backhand of Musetti. As Zverev again to the slice of Musetti. As we get a backhand again to the slice of Musetti. Into the backhand of Zverev. Musetti backhand again to the backhand of Zverev. Zverev hits it out. 40 love. Tell you what, Musetti's out hitting Zverev, which is very impressive. 40 love. Love. As the return goes into the forehand of Musetti. Backhand from Zverev. Musetti with a pass. Zverev with a volley. Musetti with a backhand pass. Down the line. Winner. That was a good shot. 3-2. That's a very good shot. That's what Musetti can do. That's why we get excited about watching Musetti at times, because that's what he can do. Great backhand winner. All right. Thanks, Deb. Backhand flick winner. Yeah, it was a great shot. Amazing backhand. All right. All right, here we go. Musetti 3-2 with the lead. All right. All right. Hey, Cam, you seem to have changed your mind over Musetti over the years in terms of his game. What changed? He started winning. As Zverev serves, into the forehand Musetti, return goes out. 15 love. 15 love. So that's the thing, chat. That's the best thing about being a human being, is that we can change our minds. You know. Musetti 2 years ago. So much promise, so little delivery. And when I say promise, Musetti, when he was beating Alcaraz and Sinner, right? And remember, Musetti is their age. When he was beating Sinner and Alcaraz back in like 2022, you know, pushing Djokovic to 5 sets, right? That was the promise we had. You know, he was supposed to be what he is now, right? We expected that 2 years ago. You know, he was setting up to be what he is now. But now he is that guy that he looked like he was going to be earlier. That's why it was so frustrating last year and the year before to watch him. Or not last year. Start of last year it was. But the sort of 2023, it was hard to watch because it was like, oh, man. This guy was supposed to be, you know, he was supposed to be a part of this new 3, right? Or not 3, because Runa and stuff was there too, right? But better late than never. And he's also still really young. So it's good to see that Musetti this year has somewhat fulfilled that potential, right? Still a lot to go. You know, I think people expect him to win 1,000 events and maybe a slam. But it's nice to see Musetti this year sort of deliver on what he was promising in 2022, 23. 2022 was when Musetti was really like, announcing himself, right? Everyone thought, and even 2021, right? When it was 2021 when he was up 2 sets to love against Djokovic, right? But then 23, started 24, he didn't do much, and then obviously Olympic bronze medal, and everything changed. Wimbledon semi-finals last year, everything changed, And he's been pretty much solid ever since, right? He hasn't... Yeah, he loses matches here and there, but he's been, like, consistent ever since. 2021. Yeah, so he was, again, him and Alcaraz was sort of... Sinner was 2021 as well, a little bit. But it was Sinner, Alcaraz. Rune hadn't even been discovered. We didn't even know who Draper was at that point. Shelton was a no one in 21. He was playing college stuff. So it was Musetti, Sinner, Alcaraz, back in 21, 22 as the next big thing. And I think with the one-handed backhand, a lot of people got mesmerized because everyone loves a one-hander. You call Musetti young when Fonseca is 17. Fonseca is 19. But you're one of those people that come in here and just try and, disagree with me on everything. So hopefully you have a nice day. 3-0. He read my message. Hey, Mom, he read my message. I read your message. 3-0. Now get out of here. Double fault because I was talking to Musetti up. Love 15. All right. When's the final of Vienna? Do you know that? Is it the same time or is it just Basel? We don't have the final yet. Do we not have the schedule yet? All right. Zverev hits it out. 15-0. 15-0. 15-0. 15-0 with a serve again. As it up. Back in the net by Musetti. All right, 15-30. Zverev hasn't been the same since that injury. False. He's been better since that injury. Are you kidding me? Zverev's had some of his best results post-injury. Grand Slam finals, 1,000 times. Like, Zverev, you know what? I don't think Zverev's been better or worse. I think he's been the same. He's recovered, which is phenomenal, that he was able to come back and get a career high ranking, have multiple chances to be world number one, right? As Musetti with a volley, Zverev puts away the forehand, 15-40. I don't think Zverev's been worse since he's come back. I think he's been the same, if not, maybe not better, but he's definitely not been worse. All right, nice hitting from Sasha. All right, so the final of Vienna is before the final of Basel. Cool. So we got... they might overlap, though, a little bit. There might be a little bit of an overlap, but that's all right. So it starts at 11 o'clock my time. Thank you, everybody, for sending me the schedules. Good serve from Musetti, 30-40. 30-40. 30-40. As you serve out wide, Musetti comes in with an easy volley winner. Nice, deuce. All right. Are you doing a double header? We'll probably have to tomorrow, yeah. So Sinner versus the winner of this will play first, and then we'll watch Fonseca after that. But they're probably going to be on at the same time, it looks like. Or similar. They're going to have an overlap, I think. Zverev is a monster indoors. Yeah. Advantage Zverev, by the way. To take the break. Zverev forehand. And Musetti hits it long. Advantage Zverev. Again. Break point again. All right, advantage Zverev. All right, advantage Zverev. Musetti sets a fault, taking serve. As a backhand return from Zverev into the backhand of Musetti. Zverev forehand. Into the backhand of Musetti. Zverev with the forehand again. Musetti's there with his backhand. Zverev another backhand to the backhand of Musetti. Into the backhand of Zverev. Musetti backhand again. Into the backhand of Zverev. Down the line of the forehand of Musetti. Zverev forehand cross court. Musetti with a passing shot off the tape. Doesn't go over. Zverev gets the break. 4-3. Okay. Umber and Fokina have just started, by the way. Oh, God, my sleep's been messed up this week, chat. My sleep has been a mess. Who the hell put on tournaments in Europe and Asia at the same time? It's so dumb. Come on, we need to have... We can't be doing this. We can't have this. Hence Musetti is not clutch always clutch. Okay. They're playing bangers at this stadium, by the way. All right. Cool. So we're over the break. 4-3. 4-3. Back to Sasha's serve. All right. Zverev says an ace. 15 love. $15 love. All right, 30 love. 30, love. Serve into the back of Musetti. Return goes back to Zverev. Musetti backhand into the forehand of Zverev. Into the forehand of Musetti. Zverev forehand down the line. Musetti gets a slice. Into the forehand of Zverev. There's Musetti backhand slice. Okay, into the forehand of Zverev. As Musetti slice again. Zverev comes in. Puts it away. 40 love. I'll tell you this, chat. Tomorrow is going to be a very important match. No matter who wins this one. Because there is an obvious gap, right? Obvious gap between two guys and everybody else. And we've seen Fritz give it a good try, a good college try against Alcaraz multiple times in the last couple of months, right? We've seen him, he beats him at the Laver Cup, he pushed him at Wimbledon, and then the last two matches, Alcaraz, the Six King Slam and Tokyo final, Alcaraz got the wins, right? So Fritz has done his part by trying to win against these guys, trying to close the gap. Fritz and Djokovic, but Djokovic hasn't played enough in the three setters to play them, right? But Zverev hasn't. I don't feel like Zverev has played Alcaraz or Sinner for a long time. When was the last time Zverev played Alcaraz or Sinner? Outside of the six, well, didn't even play him at the 16 Slam. When was the last time Zverev played Sinner or Alcaraz? Was it in Melbourne? Was it post-Melbourne? Was it on the clay? I don't remember it being on the clay. Maybe. So, and Musetti has played Alcaraz, and I don't think he's played Sinner lately, but it will be these two guys, the winner of this match, they don't have to beat Sinner to prove anything, but they can't get beaten badly by Sinner. They have to push Sinner. To feel like, okay, these guys should be in the conversation when we say who could disrupt Alcaraz. I hope the winner of this match doesn't go to the final tomorrow and just get smoked. Unless Sinner plays amazing, and then that's one thing. But it would be so disappointing for the winner of this match not to put up a fight. I want to see someone, besides Fritz, closing the gap between those two and the rest. So it's going to be a pretty important match tomorrow for that reason. As that goes out by Zverev 15-0. Oh yeah, Musetti played Sinner at the US Open. I forgot that. I keep forgetting that Musetti made the quarterfinals because he was playing so well on clay and then he disappeared. But yeah, he made the quarterfinals of the US Open as well. Anyway, 15-0. There's a volley now from Musetti, but it goes long. 15-30. 15-30. Cincinnati semis, Zverev and Alcaraz played, but Zverev wasn't 100%. Okay. I can't remember that. I can't remember that match. $15.30. As a return from Zverev goes out, and it's 30-0. By the way, Zverev is 28 years old. His window is closing. Winning a slam after 30 is very hard. Your first slam. Winning your first slam after 30 has not been done very often. Let me have a look. How many players have won a slam after 30? So, all right, 40-30. All right, so only 3 players have won a slam at won their first slam after the age of 30. One of them was Peter Korda. One of them was Gomez, and the other one was Gimeno. Zverev hits it in the net and it's 5-4. So right now, looking at Zverev is 28 years old. So Goran won his only slam at 29. Stan won his... Did he win his first slam at 28? I think he did, right? Yeah, he won his first slam at 28. Almost 29. So, and Muster won at 27, his only slam. So, in the Open era, 5 guys have won a slam that... Is Zverev... Hang on. When's Zverev turned 29? Is it this year or next year? Hang on. April next year. So, yeah. So, only 5 guys have won their first slam in the history of the Open era that are older than Zverev is currently. So, in 12 months' time, that'll cut down to 3 guys because Goran... Well, almost 3. So Zverev's going to have to do something that... And that was done back in some of those guys won back their slams back in the 70s, right? So 2025 is a lot... 2020s are a lot tougher than the 70s were. It's a lot more competitive, a lot more depth than there was back in those days. So the window is closing. The window is definitely closing. And you would think that if Zverev gets to 30 and he hasn't won a slam by then... Unless Sinner and Alcaraz, because remember they're dominating, but there's also other guys coming through, right? There's younger guys coming through. Musetti's one of those guys. There's a lot of guys coming through at Fonseca, right? So it's only going to get harder for Zverev the older he gets, because the younger guys are going to start, trying to the younger guys and Alcaraz is going to try and do stuff, right? 15 love. So you would think that Zverev has to win a slam probably in the next 3 seasons. Realistically, in the next 2 seasons, or maybe even next year. Because next year might be his last... He might not drop down the rankings next year after next year, but the possibility of winning a slam might be a lot different. Because he's not... 10 years ago, he was the next big thing, but he's not a kid anymore. He can't rely on that, eventually he'll get there. 28, that's, you're mid-career right now. You're supposed to be at your peak right now. Or at least in your prime, 30 love. Zverev serves again. Zverev serves an ace. 40 love. 40 love. Let's take the first set. Zverev serves. Into the forehand of Musetti. Zverev with a forehand to the backhand of Musetti. Into the forehand of Zverev is Musetti. Again to the forehand of Zverev. And Zverev hits it wide. 40-15. Zverev did lose pretty much a year to injury, though. Yeah, that sucks. And you can't get that back. So I mean, what do you mean? People should be nicer to Zverev because he did lose a year for injury, or 40-15. There's another lob there from Musetti. Zverev with a smash. He puts that away. All right. Zverev first set 6-4. He won a gold medal, but I think a slam's out of reach at this point. As far as I can see, he hasn't adapted his game. Okay. I mean, it limits his chances to win a slam a lot. I don't think his injury, besides not being so he missed out on 6 months of the second half. He missed out 9 months, right? So French Open, he gets injured. He doesn't play Wimbledon, US Open that year, but he came back at the Australian Open the year after, didn't he? Or did he come back? No, he came back after the Australian Open. He didn't play Australia 23, did he? He came back after that. Oh no, he came back Australian 20, but he wasn't back. He only missed out on 2 slams. And then when he came back, he lost second round of Australia, and then he ended up making the semis of the French that following year. So he really didn't miss out. Like, his results didn't suffer that much. He lost to Mo in the second round, but again, he was coming back, so you can give him a bit of a break for that. And then he went third round Wimbledon, quarterfinal US that year in 23. And then 24, he went semi-final, final, fourth round, quarterfinal. Best slam year yet. And then this year he went final, quarterfinal, first round loss, third round loss. So I don't think his injury, like, okay, his injury took him out of Wimbledon and it took him out of the US Open in 2022. Would he have beaten Alcaraz to win 2022 US Open? Maybe. I don't know. He wouldn't have won Wimbledon, though, in 22. He's not going to win Wimbledon. The US Open 22 maybe was up for grabs because Alcaraz hadn't won anything and obviously Djokovic wasn't there and Nadal lost, right? But I don't know because, like, if he was there, he would have been in the mix. But the problem we've seen with Zverev, though, over the years, and especially this year, right, which was glaringly obvious post Australian Open, when he has had a chance to become world number one, or the road has opened up for him, or there's an opportunity, especially at slams, he hasn't been able to take it. So, like, yeah, okay, the US Open 22, maybe he would have been in the mix, but would he have been able to do it? Because he's been, you know, when there's been the opportunity, like, hey, you could be number one if you just do this, he loses straight away. And you're like, what the hell? Like, he doesn't even give himself a chance. You know, he just kind of, you know, when there is an opportunity, at least in those big, you know, career-defining moments, right? He's obviously won a lot of 1000s and best of three, and he's won the gold medal and all that stuff. But when it comes to, like, slams, would he have won? He would have been in the mix, but I don't think he would have won the US Open in 22, sorry. So I don't think saying that he was, I mean, look, I think that he could have beaten Nadal that day if he hadn't rolled his ankle. That match was so close, and he was on fire on clay that year. Like, leading into the French that year, he was on fire. He was having a great year. An all-time clay court season. And then he got injured. But I don't think the injury stopped him. Like, he only missed 2 slams, which realistically probably would have won anyway. And then he came back 12 months later and made the semifinals of the slam that we think he can win the most, right? The thing that he can win the most highly, you know, chance, right? The highest chance, which is the French. 15-all. Zverev shanks the return, 30-15. But the problem with winning the French now is that Alcaraz has claimed that throne. Apparently there's a medical timeout going on with Humbert. FC, thank you for the donation. All right, 30-15 is Zverev hits it out, 40-15. He was leading 2-1 at the French Open in 24. Well, yeah. Yep. That was obviously a massive opportunity. That could have really changed the way that we look at the tour as well. As Zverev hits backhand wide and it's 1-love Musetti. Like, had Zverev won the French last year, I reckon Alcaraz would have won it this year still. Or maybe Sinner. But I think that if Zverev had have won the French last year, so much could have... the tour could have looked so different. Because it would have given a lot of players hope. Which I think is... I mean, if you remember watching the GOATs, right? The thing that made them so scary was the fact that nobody thought they could win. Like everybody who went in to play them in a final of a slam or a semi-final of a slam, they never thought they were going to win. There were some spectacular, victories, but the thing that made them so difficult was everyone would walk out and be like, well, I had a good run and now I'm in the semis and that was a great effort. And then they lose and then, we get Nadal versus Djokovic in the final. And we never had someone besides Murray, but we never really had... Stan was there, obviously, but there wasn't many players that believed they could win. And that filtered into these guys like Zverev and Medvedev and stuff. Now, Medvedev beat Djokovic, which I thought would have been a turning point, but unfortunately, the Tsitsipas and Zverevs of the world didn't replicate what Medvedev could do. Also, maybe Medvedev won because Djokovic had that pressure of doing the impossible thing. As with a volley from Zverev, Musetti with a passing shot. Winner, love that backhand pass. 15-0. But had Zverev beaten Alcaraz last year at the French, that could have just given a lot of players hope. Like, okay, maybe there's an opportunity for us here. But he didn't. And Sinner have been dominating ever since. So, just moments like that, 15-0. As the return goes out by Musetti. 30-15. As the backhand from Musetti goes down the line in the net. 40-15. $40-15. $40-15. Zverev is in that final. Really didn't feel like he was close to winning, even though he was up 2-1. No, I don't know. I think the final set he was definitely in with a chance. I think that final set, and he'll put it down to he got robbed. Remember there was that controversial call, but he was in that final set. Like that, that final set. It did feel like Zverev had an opportunity for sure. There were moments where I remember feeling like, oh, Zverev could win this. This is Alcaraz was obviously coming back, but I don't know. Until he started complaining about that line call, it did feel like, oh, okay, Zverev's in there. Like this could be something. But then Alcaraz is just too clutch. That's part of the problem. He's clutch. Anyways, 1-1. But I'll tell you, chat, I would love if we got a new Grand Slam champion in Australia. We need to set the tone for the season because if Sinner wins it without losing a set or Alcaraz wins it, and whatever, I just don't think that's gonna help. I mean, we're just gonna have another Sinner season, and that's great for the history of their rivalry, but it's shit for the tour. Like if it's just Sinner, nobody cares about anybody else, then that's kind of boring. It's kind of like Keys this year. Keys winning the Australian Open and the way she won, right, beating Swiatek and Sabalenka, set the tone for the year. That, okay, this year is not going to be dominated by one person. And we saw, Coco win hers, and we saw Swiatek win Wimbledon, and then Sabalenka got hers at the end, and then we also saw Anisimova, and Raducanu are now doing well, and Paolini got one, and Andreeva had her moment. But it was very evenly spread. And I reckon that's because it's Keys winning the first tournament of the year, that big trophy, just set the tone of like, oh, hang on a second. If she can win, maybe it's not Sabalenka, Swiatek, Gauff, and that's it. By the way, I didn't even mention Pegula because Pegula is the most overlooked player in tennis at the moment, and she deserves respect. She also won titles. But I would love to see that. I would love, and it could be Zverev, it could be Musetti, it could be Shelton, it could be Draper. I would love the Australian Open not to be won by Sinner or Djokovic. Because if Djokovic wins it, it'd be great, but it wouldn't be like It wouldn't feel the same as if like a new champion in Australia, January, we start with a bang. I would love that. Because it might just set the tone that 2026 is not going to be dominated by two guys, you know? It's not going to be the Sinkeraz show. And I love Sinkeraz, but I love it. I think scarcity with that rivalry will make it more enjoyable to watch when we do get to see it. Having it every week and every day, we're going to take it for granted. And we're also going to dismiss everybody else's rivalries because they're boring in comparison. And I don't want to do that. Like, Sinkeraz was great at the French Open because we'd only seen them play once in like 8 months. Right? We saw them play in Rome and then we got to see them again. Then they played Wimbledon and it was like, oh, okay, here we go. And then they played in Cincy. And then they played at the US Open. And then they played at Six King Slam. And it just kind of got like, all right. But nothing was as good as that second match they played this year, you know? Like, that was still... And yeah, because it was dramatic, it was 5 sets, all that stuff. But, you know... Like, Sinkeraz is getting it's getting repetitive, and it's not good for the tour. It's good when it happens, but it's not good for because it's only going to happen like once every month. So the other 30 days or 29 days of the month is nobody gives a shit. You know, we're spoiled. We're getting spoiled, right? We need competition. We need someone to stop Sinkeraz happening, you know? So then when they do play, next time we'll enjoy it more because it's been less... We haven't seen it for a while. All right. Draper could be the man. Yeah, I agree. Draper definitely could be the man. I would love Draper to win the... Like, if it's Draper that wins the Australian Open, I would love that. You know, I would love that. If he's the disruptor now. Unfortunately, Runer's not around anymore for at least the foreseeable future, so he can't be that. Which, you know, he has been the disruptor at times, but yeah, if it was Draper winning the Australian Open, great. Set the tone. And he could win the Australian Open. I think Draper's a very good chance if he's healthy. Backhand goes in the volley of Musetti. Up goes a lob from Zverev. Musetti with a smash winner. Love 15. Yeah, Feast maybe. Feast could be somebody as well. That could be the disruptor. But we need somebody to set the tone in January. Because if we get a Sinkeraz final of the Australian Open, as fun as that will be, it doesn't really do much for the rest of the tour. All right, 15-hole. As we just serve again. As the return goes in the corner, Zverev. Zverev hits it long, though, and it's 15-30. Yeah, Zverev shanking that half volley approach. 15-30. As we get an ace from Zverev. 30-all. Am I the only one that that is kind of thinking that way with... It's not that I don't like Sinner versus Alcaraz. I think Sinner versus Alcaraz is the best match we can get, right? It's the best two players in the world. It's high quality. It's always really, really, really good. Like, every match they've played, except for maybe the Six King Slam, has been great, right? It's been memorable. Even the 5-love retirement was memorable in a way. but having them dominate makes every other match kind of mid. And that's not good. Like, when they play, love it. But it kind of takes away from everybody else. Like, every other matchup in the world doesn't compare. It makes everything else boring. And when it shouldn't be, because other matches are great too. But they set the standard so high that maybe we just, when we see two different players play, we're like, it's not as good. It's like, that's not fair. It's not fair on those players. I have the same view. I just want someone to challenge. Yeah, I think maybe it's just like, for me anyway, it's probably just like, again, I know everyone loved the GOAT era, but God, it got like the first week of Grand Slams in the GOAT era was so boring. So boring. Because no one could even, like, when somebody would get a set, you'd be like, wow, that was a great close, Djokovic lost a set. Or Nadal, oh man, he lost a set. But man, it was just, we had to wait until the semis. And then when the semifinals were like, okay, now the tournament starts. It was like 10 days in before something good happened. Unless there was a massive upset and it was like, wow, that was, or a 5-setter that we didn't expect. I don't want to do that again. We did that for 20 years, or at least 15 years. It was like 15 years of the same guys, rotating the slams. I don't want to do that again. It was great when it was happening, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to watch Sinner and Alcaraz just trade slams. Like we did, we just saw that. I want to have random champions. I want to see some random champions. I want to see what Vachereau did, but in a Grand Slam. Not him, but not maybe someone like him, right? Have someone random do that. A fairy tale story like that, right? We haven't had a fairy tale since Goran on the men's side. Or Gaudio. It's been 20 years since we had a fairy tale run like Gaudio. Some random ass player that nobody even spoke their name. We haven't had that for that long. As that goes the net by Zverev, and it's 30-15. I mean, look, yeah, okay, we had Cilic, we had Stan, we had Delpo, but I'm talking like out of the blue. Like, no one was thinking that, no one was picking Gaudio to win the French in 2004. And maybe no one was picking Cilic in 2014, but he still was like top 20, right? He wasn't totally out of, like, he wasn't just some random guy who nobody had heard of before that. Like, Cilic had been around. People knew who Cilic was. 40-15. I want more of that. We need those things. Because that's what makes tennis interesting. It's just the same two players winning everything. It's kind of predictable and boring. We need. I don't even care if it's someone who's unseeded. We could have someone who's number 10 in the world win a slam. That would be awesome. It's good for the sport. Back in return. 40-15 here, Musetti to stay in front. Zverev in the net. It's 3-2. But it all starts tomorrow with one of these guys. One of these guys can push Sinner or do something that troubles Sinner. Then maybe it's not going to be the same story in 2026. Maybe 2026 is going to be a little bit different. But if Sinner wins in straight sets tomorrow 2-2 and neither of these guys have a chance, then let's just call 2024 a wrap. Or 2025 a wrap and start fresh in the new year. Sinner and Alcaraz can win the next two titles and whatever. All right. Drabic could come back next year with a bang. Yeah, he's definitely, I would say he's probably the player that, especially with Rune out, I think he's the guy that everybody's thinking could be the disruptor. I would love to see Draper play Sinner in the Australian Open. I think that'd be a good start to the year to see them play each other in a quarterfinal or something, or Alcaraz, Draper Alcaraz in a quarterfinal of Australia. That'd be fun. The problem with Draper this year when he played Alcaraz is that he came off 3 5-setters, so he was super tired. He needs to come in with fresh legs, Okay. (3-2), Musetti. Lehechka? Oh, Lehechka could be one. I would love to see Lehechka beat Alcaraz in Paris. Just for something different, I hope Paris is different. Lehechka taking out Alcaraz in the third round would at least send a bit of a shock to the rest through the tour, and that we kind of need that. I don't think Sinner's losing before the final, because I don't think. I mean, unless Shelton, unless Shelton can get his. But the problem is, if Paris is slow, Shelton's not making the quarters. If it's a slow, shitty, crappy indoor hard court that's not what it used to be, like not the fast. If it's not fast, Shelton's probably not going to make it to the Sinner match, and even if he does, he'll probably lose to Sinner anyway. It needs to be a fast indoor hard court if it's going to be if Shelton's going to be any chance of making it to that stage. I don't think a slow hard court's going to work. Paris needs to be fast. Yeah, I don't know if it's slow or fast yet. I'm hearing it's slow, but I haven't seen or heard anything properly yet. So, and no one's played there yet, so we haven't heard the players talk about it yet. But hopefully it's fast, so then Shelton can get some matches. Alcaraz said it's slower than last year. Why? 3-0. By the way, chat, also just a thought. If the tournaments are trying to make a Sinkeraz final, but the neutral fans are eventually going to get bored of it, what's going to happen is if it's going to be Sinkeraz every time, the more memorable matches are going to be the ones when Sinkeraz lose, like to someone else. Like if we're just getting Sinner Alcaraz every final, the matches we're going to remember is when they lose to somebody else. So why wouldn't you make a tournament where you make it super fast, so then Sinner and Alcaraz might not win, because that'll be more memorable. More people are going to remember, remember that one tournament that Sinner and Alcaraz both lost in the, throughout the tour, and there wasn't the, like that. That's more interesting, I think. So Paris should have gone the other way and made it like Cincinnati back in last year when they were just like lightning fast. Instead of going slow like everybody else trying to get like Sinner and Alcaraz final. Nah. We want Sinner and Alcaraz upsets. That's what I want to see. That's what people are going to talk about. If it's a Sinner or Alcaraz final, great, but the more memorable thing is if Sinner and Alcaraz lose. That's more interesting at this point. As the return goes to the forehand of Musetti, backhand and slice from Zverev. Musetti with a drop volley, and he puts it away. 40 love. I think Paris will be decently fast since last year. It was insanely quick. Yeah, but apparently because they moved the venue, so they might have slowed it down. If last year was too quick. 40 love. And also because of Vachereau and Rinderknecht Nesh making the final in Shanghai, in slow Shanghai, they might have made it slow because they think it's better for the French players too. Which I hope is not the case, but they might have. All right, 40 love. As a backhand return goes to forehand Musetti. Musetti hits long. It's 40-15. It makes no sense. Sinner is better on fast courts, and Carlos can win on perfectly fast as well. Yeah, I get that. But it also gives other players a chance to possibly push them. Like if I look at Cincinnati, right? Yeah, it was Sinner Alcaraz this year. But there were definitely more players that pushed Alcaraz and Sinner than there would have been if it was just a regular court. Like Rublev pushing Alcaraz to 3, right? That was not expected. Even Atman really pushing Sinner in that first set with that incredible serve. That probably wouldn't have happened had it have been a regular, court. So I feel like if it's a super fast court, it gives players with a big game at least some confidence to maybe get the to feel like they could do something. But you're right. Make the courts fast and Sinner and Alcaraz could still win. That's fine. But it might just give other players a chance to cause an upset. If it's just if it's a slow hard court, no one's beaten Alcaraz and Sinner on a slow, on a regular slow, like a medium hard court or a slow hard court, or at least a medium. If it's just medium, if it's super fast, somebody who has a really good serve might be able to steal one. But you're right, it could be just the final, even if it's fast. But if you make it medium or slow, it's not gonna. It's like those people with big serves might as well just go home. Well, they might as well just leave because their serve's not going to work. And then you got to try and out rally Sinner and Alcaraz. Good luck with that. All right, we get to deuce. By the way, Musetti was up 40 love. What the hell? All right. Deuce. As the return goes in the forehand of Musetti. Musetti puts it away. Advantage Musetti. Also, Chad, I wonder if, talking about Sinner, like Sinner had a 3-month ban, right? He was out for 3 months. I wonder if next year, by the time we get to this stage, how he will be physically. Because I don't think he'll be fatigued as much as the others have, right? But we gotta remember that he had effectively 4 months because he didn't play in February either. He didn't play between the the Australian Open and Rome, which was 3-4 months. That's a long time to not use energy, right? So he effectively started the season in May and has played for the last 5 months, right? Or 4 months. I wonder what's going to happen next year when he's played for 10 months. And because we see it with Alcaraz, right? We saw it, a couple of, the last few years, that at this time of year, Alcaraz has let some matches slip. Last year he lost to, Humbert in the Paris Open. The year before that, he was losing to players straight after the US Open and Davis Cup and stuff. And it was, because he'd played a lot of tennis. I mean, even now, we saw him lose to Fritz at the Laver Cup. Now, if you don't count that, fair enough. But I wonder next year if Sinner, by the time we get to this time next year for Sinner, having played 10 months and not 6, how that will affect the results. Because, he missed out on pretty much the entire clay season, which is the most brutal section of the tour, but also missed out on Indian Wells, which is also a pretty brutal, and Miami. I mean, there was 2 brutal tournaments there, back to back. One physically, and the other one humidity wise, and the other one for the court speed. A bit of a grind. So we'll see. Because we obviously don't want to talk about him getting banned because it's, whatever. But the fact that he didn't have to play for 4 months, might have benefit him at this stage of the year when everybody's hurt. Look at everybody. Everybody's hurt. Djokovic is hurt. Tsitsipas has pulled the pin for the year. Obviously, Rune got hurt. Everyone's getting medical timeouts right now. Like, everyone. Zverev had a medical timeout the other week, right? You know, like everyone's sore, but Sinner had 4 less months than everybody. You know. As for Alcaraz, he's just a freak. But you know, like it'd be interesting to see if Sinner in 12 months, after a full year, how that's going to look. And if that's going to make any difference, if people are going to be able to get closer to Sinner, you know, at that point. Especially if he wins as much as he has, right? Because you could like play 10 months of the year, you know, play 10 months of the season and lose second round. And you don't play as much. But by the time you get to this time of year, when if you're Sinner and Alcaraz, you've won, you know, you've played 90 matches, right? Yeah, Rude, Felix, I mean, everybody's sore. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right. 4-3. As the return goes in the forehand of Zverev, off the tape, into the forehand of Musetti. Forehand from Zverev, again to the forehand of Musetti. And Zverev backhand slice. Musetti with a volley. Zverev in the net. Love 15. But then again, this time last year, Sinner was pretty good. He didn't seem that bothered. But he didn't play Paris. Remember that? He didn't play Paris. He did take Paris off after after it. Did he play Vienna or Basel last year as well? Sinner? No. He took that off too, right? Because Draper won and GMP, so he didn't play that. He didn't play now either, did he? He played US Open and then ATP Finals, right? And the Six King Slam. No, he didn't play. Oh, unless he lost. Yeah, he took a break. Because he didn't win those tournaments, but I don't remember him losing at those events. Anyways, 15 all. All right, 15 all. And Musetti hits a wide on the return, 30-15. I think Sinner's stamina has improved a lot this year. Yeah, but he also didn't play for 4 months. 30-15. He played one match in 6 months, or one tournament in 6 months, effectively. You know, he didn't play December. He played Australian Open, February, March, April, and most of May. He didn't play, right? So he played one tournament in 6 months. So that would definitely get your body right. 40-15. Because remember, he didn't play Madrid, which is 2-week Masters. He didn't play Indian Wells and Miami, which are 2-week Masters, so he didn't have to do all that BS that a lot of other players did. For example, I mean, Draper obviously not quite on the same level physically yet, but Draper did so well up until the French, and then post-French Open, because when you're doing well, you're also playing a lot of tennis, which means your body's wearing down, right? You know, Draper was on fire, and then we got to Wimbledon, and he was done. But Sinner almost like started at that stage. So we didn't get to see them play because when Sinner was away, you know, Draper was playing his best. And then when Draper ran out of steam in July, that's when Sinner was sort of back, right? Which is a shame because it would have been great to see Sinner and Draper, you know, in Madrid, right? Or at Monte Carlo. Before all of that. Anyway, it's 40-30. Zverev forehand. In the back of Musetti, Zverev with a volley. Musetti with a forehand as Zverev volleys again. And that's too good. Nice hands from Zverev at the net. 4-all. 4-all. 4-4. He played Paris. He withdrew. Did Sinner play Paris? I thought he pulled out of Paris. Or was that the year? No. Who did he play? can't remember. 4-4? He withdrew before the tournament started. Oh, okay. Then he didn't play Paris. And why are you telling me he did? When he didn't. Did he? The year before that, he pulled out because of the schedule, but... He withdrew. Okay, so he was supposed to play, and then he withdrew before the tournament. Okay. Or before the match started. All right, 15 love. Musetti serves again. Into the backhand of Zverev. Musetti forehand. Into the forehand of Zverev. Zverev in the net. 30 love. I'll tell you this, chat. I know we're not talking too much about this match, but I'm really not seeing too much that Sinner should be worried about. I mean, Zverev has come to the net a few times, which is interesting, but I don't think either of these guys is playing at a level that Sinner should be scared of. As Musetti hits that long, 30-15. And if this goes 3 sets, that's even better for Sinner, right? 30-15. It's gone for an hour and 20 minutes. This has felt a lot longer. Definitely felt a lot longer. Even though this could be over in 10 minutes. Backhand to backhand rally. Now forehand now goes down the line from Zverev. The backhand of Musetti. Zverev forehand again. The backhand of Musetti. Musetti hits it wide. 30-all. 30-all. Is it just me or is this match tedious? See, that's the problem with Sinkeraz. That's what happens. We're so used to seeing this ridiculous high level that when we watch two other guys who are in the top 10, this match feels tedious. When it's just not this, it's just not Sinkeraz. That's why. This isn't a bad match. It's just not Sinner versus Alcaraz, which is what we've come to expect from everybody because we've seen it so much this year. See, that's why I keep saying that Sinkeraz, we can't have Sinkeraz too much because now we think this is bad. When this is a very competitive match between two guys in the top 10. Is it Sinner versus Alcaraz? Hell no. Is it the quality of that? Definitely not. But it's not bad. But we just that's what we need. No more Sinkeraz. Give us a break so we can at least remember, what real tennis is, what not the tennis of the gods, as Robbie would say, right? And that goes to the net from Zverev, and it's 5-4 Musetti. Yeah, Zverev is number 3 and Musetti's number 8. I mean, this is a top 10 clash. Just a little bit more of a grind than we're used to seeing from those other guys. All right, 5-4. Musetti stays in front. All right. All right. And Zverev's getting pissed off. Top 2, then Djokovic, then the rest. Yeah, that's not good for the sport. If Zverev loses this set, then he is not winning the third. Okay. Yeah. I tell you this, chat. I know we keep on talking about Sinkeraz, blah blah blah. I think if we didn't have Sinkeraz so close after the GOATs, it would be a much more enjoyable time. Like, it wouldn't be, when I say enjoyable, it's been great. But if we had like 2 years when it was like kind of like the women's game, right? It was like Serena finished, and then we had like a couple of years where it was like random as hell, and then Swiatek started dominating. We're like, oh, okay. We had a couple of years where it was like a bit like all over the place, right? And now the WTA is like better than ever. But we didn't have that time where it was like everybody wins a slam. We didn't have that period of time between, like between Sampras and Agassi and Federer during the early 2000s. There was that random time when a lot of players were winning 1 slam, 2 slams, right? We didn't have that. If we had that, then maybe Sinner versus Alcaraz would feel, to me anyway, feel more like less predictable, like boring, I guess. I don't know. Like less boring to get to that stage, all the matches before those they play is boring, But because it happened like literally the year after Nadal and Djokovic stopped winning, right? It kind of just was like, oh, and we're doing this again, okay. Barty dominated after Serena, then retired. I love Ash Barty, but she didn't dominate. 15-all, as that goes into the backhand slice of Zverev. Backhand now from Musetti. Into the backhand of Zverev on the stretch. Musetti with a volley. Nice play. 15-30. Look, I love Ash Barty as much as everybody from Australia, but she did not dominate. It was Serena. Even like you can go back to when before Serena, went off to have a baby. When she came back, she was obviously constant and making finals, but nobody dominated up until Swiatek. It was Serena, then nothing, then Swiatek. Like Barty won 3 slams, Osaka won 4, but nobody dominated. That's the same way. And it was a bit of a everyone can win. Everyone wins a slam. We had a lot of 1 slam players. We still do. Kennan, Andrescu, Stevens, Halep won 2 slams in that time. Wozniacki, right? Vondrousova, Krejcikova, Raducanu, Raducanu. 40-30. I'm trying to think who else. And then Swiatek obviously took over. I mean, Osaka was supposed to be, I guess, the dominant one when Serena, once Serena, during the end of the Serena era. As Zverev hits away the smash, nice, 5-all. Anyways, 5-all. Good smash by Zverev. Bit of a highlight shot. Bit of a jumping smash. Not like Sampras, but not terrible. All right, return goes in the forehand of Musetti. Backing out from Zverev. Into the backhand slice of Musetti. Zverev with a forehand. Again at the forehand of Musetti. Zverev forehand again. Musetti backhand again. The forehand of Zverev is Musetti forehand again. Into that Zverev forehand as Musetti shanks it wide. Love 15. Love 15. And I know there's probably people asking like, but Cam, you're saying like you don't, like, back then it was random for the WTA. Then what do you call this? Yeah, we've had 4 different champions, but it doesn't, I don't feel like 2025 has felt as random on the WTA as when like 2021, right? Like 2021 was random, right? We had, a whole bunch of, even like 2019 to 2021, a lot of random things happened. This year hasn't felt random, It feels like we're getting a lot of like, yeah, we've had 4 different champions, but then we've had a lot of similar finalists. We've had a lot of similar matchups in the semifinals of the slams, and the 1,000 events have been spread out amongst the top 10, who also have gone on and they didn't just do one thing and then do nothing. They've, Andreeva won a couple of 1,000s. I mean, Anisimova made slam finals, won a 1,000. Obviously, Sabalenka, Swiatek, Keys, and Gauff have done things. Pegula's been constant. So is Paolini, right? It doesn't feel like like 2021 was random as hell. It was so random. Whereas this feels like it's not dominated by one player, but it does feel like it's been dominated by the top 10. Which is nice, because it means that we don't have just 3 players that are kicking everyone's ass and everybody else can't compete. We've got, the WTA finals will be so good, because that showcases exactly what I'm talking about. Like 8 players in the world that are just playing, like, that any of them could win, because they're all playing at such a good level. And Andreeva, who has had a great year at the start of the year anyway, she didn't even make it. And she got, like, more than enough points to qualify any other season for the WTA finals. This year, not enough. Anyway, it's 30 all. 30 all. As we serve again. There's a fault, second serve. Big point here for Musetti. Serving to the forehand of Zverev. Forehand from Musetti to the backhand of Zverev. Musetti backhand to the backhand of Zverev. Into the backhand of Musetti. And Zverev backhand again. Into the slice of Musetti. Zverev forehand again to the backhand of Musetti. Who goes down the line to the forehand of Zverev. Musetti forehand again to the forehand of Zverev. And Musetti with a slice in the net. Zverev 30-40. Of course, you have some chaos periods like 2020 to 2022 in the men's. 2020 to 2022 in the men's was not chaos. Nothing like the women's side. Are you kidding me? Djokovic, Nadal, Alcaraz won the majority of the slams in that period. Or at least Djokovic and Nadal won majority of the slams in that period. 2021 was dominated by Novak. What do you mean chaos? Only Medvedev finished him in the final. That was the only chaos. And then Team won the US Open because Djokovic got defaulted. Big part of that, right? But then other than that, it was Nadal and Djokovic in the finals and then in the other 2 slams. And then, of course, 2022 was Djokovic was banned, but he won Wimbledon and Nadal won the other 2 slams. And then Alcaraz. So it's not chaos. That wasn't chaos at all. Nothing like 2021 for the ladies when we had Krejcikova and Raducanu. Drop shot is good. Zverev gets it. Musetti backhand passing lob. Goes long. There's the break, Zverev. Well, you can't compare 2020 to 2022 for the men compared to the women's. Kenin wins a slam out of nowhere. Swiatek wasn't even a thing before 2020. Like 2020, French Open was random for Swiatek. We didn't know how good she was going to be. Krejcikova winning the French the year after was not meant to happen. It was only Barty winning Wimbledon in 21 was probably the most, and maybe Osaka winning the US and the Australian Open in that time. But again, it wasn't the same chaos. Chaos on the women's side was proper chaos when the whole top 10 were losing in the first in the early stages of slams and randoms were making the semis. I mean, tell me a final Fernandez versus Raducanu, nothing close has happened like that on the men's side since the 90s probably. Like, you know what? Like, nothing. Like, we've never had something, even like Pavlyuchenkova Krejcikova. Nothing like that on the men's side for years. Decades. Yeah, the closest thing is Zverev versus Team. I know, right? And that was still top 10, like top 5. You know? Wasn't even like, oh yeah, number 20 versus number 15. It was like, no, that was like, whatever, like 3 versus 5 or something. Yeah, Gaudio winning, but he beat Coria, who was like top 5. So, like, we haven't had 2 players outside the top 20 make a final of a slam together. So there's nothing, like the level of chaos, there's no chaos on the men's side compared to the women's side. Unless you're talking about like 2020 to 2022 was chaos in comparison to everything else. Maybe, yeah, okay. But still, it wasn't chaos with the winners. The winners were still the obvious choices for most part. Like Team winning a slam and Medvedev winning a slam wasn't out of the question, I guess. Yeah, Krajicek, Washington back in 96 Wimbledon was probably the last time it was super insane. You're right. That's probably the last. Yeah, so 30 years was the last time something like crazy like that happened. 30 love. Anyways, Zverev, 2 points away from playing Sinner. God, I hope he plays good tomorrow against Sinner. I hope it's close. Is it a rematch of Australian Open? They haven't played since, right? Serve out wide. Return goes out from Musetti. 40 love. This is actually really good for Zverev too. To get out of it like this, 1.5 hours, pretty straightforward. He served well. But tomorrow's an important match because, like I said earlier, Fritz he's had a crack at Alcaraz so many times this year to try and close the gap. Now Zverev's got to do his job and try and close the gap on Sinner if he can, or at least put an effort in where we can see there is maybe not the gap that we all think it is. We think it's this huge void, the Grand Canyon between Sinner and Alcaraz and everybody else. Maybe it's a little bit closer than that. Zverev's got to try and prove that tomorrow, though. Even if he loses, as long as it's not a beatdown, maybe there's hope. Ace out wide. Zverev wins. Maybe there's hope if Zverev can push Sinner. Maybe there is hope that Sinkeraz, someone other than Sinner and Alcaraz will win a slam in the next 10 years. All right, Zverev wins. Good win for Zverev too, because he had a bad record against Musetti. He was not on the winning end of this matchup recently. So good win for Sasha. And now he gets to take on Jannik Sinner. And he has got a good record against Sinner. But like I said, recently they've only played the one time. And the Australian Open final was the worst final of the year, right? It was so one-sided. By the way, Fokina's up a set and a break, and about to go up a break against Humbert. All right. So there we go. Is Musetti top 10 player not to win a title this year? Only top 10 player? Rune? Is Rune top 10? Because FAA won a title last week, right? Maybe, yeah, maybe. Yeah. Oh, Rune won Barcelona, of course. Yeah. So it would be. He would be, yeah. He would be. He said he hasn't won a title in 3 years. Holy shit. Yeah, Musetti hasn't won a big title yet. He's yet to win a 1,000. Who's qualified for the ATP finals? Zverev qualified this week. But then next week, it comes down to Fritz, Shelton, Demonor, Musetti, Auger-Aliassime, and maybe Rude. Maybe Medvedev. He's going to have to win Paris if he's going to be any shot, but yeah. Because I have a feeling Djokovic is going to play. Which means that being number 9 will not be enough. Fokina's got the break in the second. All right. Well, there it is. We are done for the night. Pretty straightforward, the matches today, to be honest. A little bit too straightforward. So hopefully that means tomorrow's final will be epic. I feel like if Fokina plays for second tomorrow with all the title baggage, Yeah, that'll be rough. All right, but I'm out of here. Thanks for sticking around. It's going to be a very interesting match tomorrow. Zverev versus Sinner. Like I said, it feels like it's a very important match for the rest of the tour, because we all expect Sinner to win. But if Zverev can push Sinner and make it interesting, then maybe going forward, he might be a threat. Like Fritz might be a threat, depending on the circumstances and maybe the conditions. But it'll be interesting tomorrow. It'll be one of those tests for the rest of the tour to see if the gap between Sinner and Alcaraz is as big as it has been the last couple of months. That nobody comes close. Let's see if Zverev can come close. Let's see what he can do. And if he doesn't, then we'll probably be watching 1 hour final. But if he does, all right, then maybe we can talk about something going to the ATP final that's not just Sinner versus Alcaraz. Maybe there is more to the tour than just two guys. That'd be interesting. But let's see if Zverev can make us can surprise us with a match tomorrow. But Zverev wins. Straight sets, straightforward. By the way, served amazing, Zverev. Look at the serving stats. Did not get a break point. Did not face a break point. Got a lot of break points and also didn't serve a double fault. So that was amazing serving by Zverev. He's going to have to do that tomorrow if he's any chance of beating Sinner. But he wins 6-4, 7-5. I'll see you tomorrow.